हेलो।
हाँ सर।
ये दिख रहा है क्या?
नहीं सर।
प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं दिख रहा है। आ गया?
हाँ सर।
आ गया? हेलो।
हाँ सर। हाँ सर।
आ गया?
हाँ हाँ आ गया सर।
ओके ओके ओके। I think it is not in the full screen, no?
सर नीचे एक वो स्लाइड मोड का एक ऑप्शन है, नीचे देखिए सबसे राइट साइड पे कोने पे। हाँ यही वाला सर।
हो गया?
हाँ अब ओके। हाँ अब ओके।
ओके ओके। My topic is on traditional methods of forecasting and control of diseases and pest incidents in the agriculture and horticultural crops. So first of all, I am thankful to Meadow Agriculture at Damas University jointly organizing this National Certificate Training Program on Bharatiya Krishi Gyan Parampara, integrating traditional wisdom for sustainable agriculture. So with these words, I'll just start my lecture. That the traditional agriculture knowledge systems have long provided effective, low-cost and ecologically sustainable solutions for forecasting and managing pest and disease incidents. So in this lecture, I have reviewed the ingenious forecasting indicators, plant protection practices, and their scientific basis. It will further explore the relevance in modern sustainable agriculture, supported by case studies and classical textual references, which I'll discuss later on. So with these words, my first is the historical and the cultural context. In the historical context, the traditional plant protection practices are deeply rooted in ancient agriculture civilizations. India's agriculture history dates back over 5,000 years with structured agronomic knowledge documented in Krishi Prashad, somewhere around 400 to 1000 Common Era. Then Vriksha Ayurveda by Surpala, it is somewhere around 10th century. And Brihat Samhita by Baraha Mira in the 6th century. So these texts contain systematic descriptions of pest forecasting, plant diseases, soil health, and protective measures, indicating a highly evolved ecological understanding. So there are some classical text references in Sanskrit and in traditional knowledges. Then in that, the first comes is the Khana's saying, which is very popular in Bengal, that Khana's agricultural proverbs, that is Bengal oral tradition. It goes like this, that Ashare Brishti Kartike Dhan Besi Poka Hole Jabe Pran, meaning excessive rain leads to pest outbreaks affecting crops. Then in the Vriksha Ayurveda, that is Surpala's source, and the chapter is Rog Dharika, that is chapter on diseases. Okay, in this they have the slok is the Kashora Danka tu Paraneshu Kit Dhanan Parikirtan Min. That means meaning goes like this, that alkaline solutions like ash water destroy pest on leaves. Then in Krishi Prashara, it is the chapter is Raksha Prakarana. Gomutran Kitnasayan Beet Sangrakashnayan Cha, which means that cow urine is useful for pest control and seed production. And in Brihat Samhita, that is Varamira. It is the rainfall prediction, Megha Lakshana. It is chapter 21, where the slok is Meghanang Roop Darsanan Krishi Siddhi Nigichitan Tarni. That means the observations of clouds helps predict agricultural outcomes, including pest incidents. Now, there is another record or literature, that is Vasya Panchagam. It provides seasonal pest forecasting based on lunar cycles. That means no moon, dark moon phase, then rainfall predictions and crop calendars. And other Sanskrit references are two of them are very popular. That is Nambi Patran Kitnasham. That means neem leaves act as insecticides. And the second one is Dhumra Karmanang Kitang Palayante. That is smoke drives away the pest. So this is the classical text reference. And if we discuss about the cultural context, then agrarian communities relied on harmony with nature, that is natural indicators like birds, insects, weather patterns, then preventive rather than curative approaches like botanical formulations were used, very popular, ritualistic and ecological farming practices. So these knowledge systems were transmitted orally or through classical Sanskrit texts. Now, if we talk about the geographic distribution and the communities involved, then the geographic distribution, the traditional pest forecasting and control practices are prevalent across India, that is tribal and rural communities, Southeast Asia, and Africa and Latin America. Whereas if we talk about the communities involved, they include smallholder farmers, tribal groups, particularly Gonds, Wilds, and Santals, and traditional healers and vets. Okay, now India's diversity creates region-specific traditional practices. There are established practices which have been adopted throughout the generations in different regions, like in central India, which covers Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The key traditional practice is mixed cropping, use of ash and cow urine. It is generally done against the pulses and soybean crops. Then in eastern India, which includes Bengal and Odisha, Kala sayings or agro-proverbs guide forecasting. It is meant for rice. Then in northeast India, botanical extracts. It is meant for horticultural crops. In Punjab, bird purchase, crop rotation for wheat and rice. Southern India, particularly Kerala, neem oil, shades regulation, that is being advocated in black pepper and cardamom. And in the states of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, use of biocontrol botanical pest control agents like plant extracts, neem, garlic, and panchagavya. And these are generally adopted in crops like cotton, banana, vegetables. And in eastern India, it is ash and cow urine. It is generally practiced in millets. Now, if we talk about the core traditional knowledge, it is distributed or bifurcated in different aspects. Like here, the first of all, we will discuss about the detailed description of the practices. And in this, the forecasting method, which the farmers predicted pest or disease outbreak using weather indicators. Weather indicators means monsoon or rainfall or humidity. These are the three major things that are being followed for forecasting the outbreak of the pest or the diseases. So in case of early monsoon, then higher fungal diseases are being observed. Blast disease in rice. Delayed, if the monsoon is delayed, then there is chances of termite infestation. If the rainfall is erratic, then the pest outbreak, particularly the armyworms, they become a nuisance for the farmers. And if we talk about the humidity, then prolonged humidity, there is an insect outbreak. And if the humidity is very high, above 85%, then the fungal diseases like blast in rice, downy mildew, these become the dominant diseases. Now, The next is the biological indicators of the animal or bird behavior. So increasing termite mounds, it indicates that white ants, that is the most common species, is Odontotermis species. When the soil dryness is there, pest vulnerability increases, impending rain, and ultimately root damage risk is there. And the other is the bird behavior. If the bird migration pattern, that is the seasonal pattern or outbreak, pest outbreak is there. Here I have tried to show that what is the impact of the insectivorous birds, the birds which feed on the crops as pests, how they depend upon each other and how they ultimately induce losses to the crop. Then the next is the plant indicators. Here, early flowering, like pest heavy influence is there. If you go for the early varieties, extra early varieties, then there's the chances that the pest incidence will increase, and leaf discoloration pattern. So these are the two major plant indicators which can be used as a forecasting tool. Then the last one is the astronomical indicators, that is the lunar cycles, which we have discussed in the Vyasya Panchagam, and the nakshatra based swing linked to pest avoidance. Okay, so these are the major factors. Then if we talk about the traditional pest and disease control, the second is the first is the botanicals. Here we have included neem azanactine based insecticide, garlic chili extract sprays, tobacco decoction, and fumigation, that is burning neem leaves to repel insects. Here I have tried to show a botanical formulation, that is India-specific data. Chili garlic extract, that is the main composition is capsicum and sulfur. It is targeted against caterpillars, and the farmers of Andhra Pradesh, they are following this practice. Then neem seed color extract, NSK 5%. It is generally meant against the aphids and Desi, that is soft body insects. And these are the data that have been obtained from ICR trials, which shows 50 to 70% reduction in the pest infestation. And the third one is the tobacco decoction, which the active ingredient is nicotine. It is applied against leaf-eating insects, and it is a traditional practice used in Madhya Pradesh. Now, these are some of the botanicals that are generally being used or applied by the farmers. Then the cultural practices. Here, the crop rotation, deep plowing, intercropping reduces pest spread like marigold with tomato, which reduces the nematode infestation. Then mixed cropping, trap crop like mustard, used to attack pests away from the main crop, or coriander in case of chickpea. Then there are certain physical methods also, like light traps, bird perches, manual removal. Then the next one under the traditional is the ash application. Ash application, it is applied during the dew conditions. Then wood ash dusted on crops control soft body insects like aphids, jacids, caterpillars. It acts as a desiccant, cuticle abrasion, and repellent. So these are the different traditional methods. Then the next is the, which is very popular nowadays, it is the cow byproducts based formulations. Benefits of cow urine, that is antifungal, antibacterial, boost resistance, repels pests. Now, cow urine is antifungal and antibacterial. Panchagavya, that is, I have shown a table of how to prepare the Panchagavya, the methodology. It is a growth enhancer plus pest deterrent, improves the plant immunity. Then these are the field studies conducted by TNU, and they reported that use of Panchagavya or cow urine can increase the yield from 15 to 20%. Then, now, besides these traditional methods, there are certain traditional plantations that have been followed or grown through generations, and we have scientifically proved that these plants like custard apple, pongamia, neem, if they are grown near the or adjacent to the fields, in the areas which are very close to the fields, then these provide two things. One is shelter for the birds as a bird percher, and second is the harboring of the natural enemies or the biocontrol agents like this ladybird beetle, this dragonfly, then earwigs, damselfly, ants, and then wasp. These are all, and there is a long list of spiders I've tried to show here, that these trees, they harbor all these biogens, and these biogens, they feed on the crop pest, which is grown adjacent to this or adjoining to the fields. So these are the birds like black dango, Indian wren rat, and common manna. These are the insectivorous birds. So this plantation is also very important. And then there's a seasonal and regional variations. Of course, you have just gone through the table. I have shown you the table. There is a variation in the technology in different states. So dry regions, they go for ash and dust-based control. In humid regions, they prefer botanical sprays. And in coastal areas, they go for fish-based emulsions. But then what are the tools, materials, and the methods? Generally, earthen pots, they are using it for fermentation, either in the aerobic condition or in the anaerobic condition. Then hand sprayers, traditional hand sprayers, then wooden dusters or dusters prepared with the help of a cloth, and then it is tied on a wooden log, and then it is shaken over the crop. Then indigenous seed storage structures. So all these things, it is being used from generations to generations, and we have found that the infestation of both the insect pest and the diseases is very, very less. Then we have to go for the scientific validation also. These are the things that have been reported. Now we want to see the science behind it. So the scientific validation, modern research supporting practices like as application, it is generally recommended for pulses, and it has been reported by IIPR, Indian Institute of Pulse Research. Pod border reduction is approximately in between 40 to 50%. Bird purchase, NRI, that means National Rice Research Institute, it is recommended against rice. It reduces the infestation of insect population by 25 to 30%. Then intercropping of marigold with tomato, it is IPM reports 35 to 60% reduction. Neem cake soil application for spices, Indian Institute of Spice Research, reduce the root grub infestation by 40%. Neem seed kernel extract, it is recommended against cotton and vegetable pests. CICR, Cotton Institute or Central Institute of Cotton Research, Nagpur, they have conducted these trials, and they have reported that 50 to 70% reduction in the sucking pest. And Panchgavya spray, it has been recommended by TNEU against banana and tomato, and they reported that it increased the yield by 15 to 25%. Now, what was the difference between the chemical and the biological processes? Let's see the traditional input and the scientific basis. As what is the mode of action of the ash? It is alters the pH and damages the insect cuticle. Neem azadirachtin disrupts insect growth. Cow urine contains urea, phenols, antimicrobial agents, and garlic, sulfur compounds repel insects. And if we compare the comparative analysis with the conventional methods, that is the cost, environmental impact, residue resistance. So cost and resistance is low in case of traditional methods. Environmental impact is minimum and residue is none in case of traditional. Whereas if we talk about the chemical methods, it is very high. Cost, environmental impact, resistance is very high, and residue is also present. So here I have tried to show the mechanism of the action of the different, that is NSK, neem, and then that is toxicity, repellents, anti-feeding, and insect growth regulator. Then the current relevance and application. So whatever the information of the knowledge, ITK we have, how we are going to integrate with the modern IPM. So this is the figure I have shown, that how the IPM can be used by using keeping in mind the IT case. So the current elements is that addressing the contemporary challenges is traditional practice help tackle, reduce pesticide resistance, then improve soil health and supports organic farming. And if we talk about the integration with the modern IPM, then forecasting models with weather data, traditional knowledge plus modern science, then it will lead to integrated pest management and biological control plus botanical pesticides, organic farming systems. So integration model with IPM. Now, certain case studies are there, that is neem-based IPM in cotton that has been reported from Maharashtra, conducted by CICR, increased farmers' income, net profit increased from 8,000 to 12,000 per hectare. The second case studies of ash-based pest control in pulses in Madhya Pradesh. Location is Sihor. Effective against spot borers, incidents reduced by about 45%, zero chemical cost. And the third case study is about the Panchagavya and horticulture. It has been conducted in TNU, Tamil Nadu. Crops are banana and vegetables. Increase the yield by 15 to 20%, significantly reduce insect and disease incidents. And the next case study is the Indigenous IPVM, integrated pest and disease management in spice crops. There are 3 spice crops that have been reported by TNAU and IISR. So these are the different forecasting, high humidity monitoring, and scientific basis is fungal disease correlation. Cultural is shade regulation. Traditional canopy management reduces phytophthora. Mechanical is removal of infected vines. That is a farmer's practice. Disease spread is controlled. Biological is trichoderma application, compost enrichment, antagonistic fungi, and botanicals neem oil spray 0.5 to 1%. Traditional extract azidorectin. This is for black pepper. And for cardamom, soil health practice is neem case, organic amendment, root grub control, botanical spray is garlic extract. Indigenous practice, it reduces the thrips infestation. Cultural is shade management. Traditional disease prevention and monitoring through light traps. Forward innovation, which is meant for pest surveillance. And if we talk about turmeric and ginger, then the seed treatment with cow urine dip, it is an ITK. Disease prevention is there. Soil, ash plus compost. It is an indigenous technology. It improves the soil health. And biological, it is use of trichoderma, which is a modern integration, which helps in the rhizome rot control. So these are some of the case studies. Now the challenges and the conservation. Now, first is the threats to traditional knowledge. Of course, due to urbanization, loss of oral traditions, lack of documentation, chemical agriculture dominance. So these are the threats to the traditional knowledge and documentation efforts. National Innovation Foundation in India and Indigenous Technology Technical Knowledge Database. These 2 things are very important and it is required. And the government, ICR, has compiled some of the information. Then the IPR and benefit sharing. It is need for farmers' right protection, equitable commercialization, patent safeguards. And if we talk about the conclusion and the way forward, then key takeaways are traditional knowledge is scientifically relevant and sustainable, cost-effective and sustainable. It complements modern agriculture. The research gaps, standardization of the formulations is important, is required. Doses optimization is also required, and large-scale validation. And if we talk about the policy recommendations, then promote ITK in agriculture extension systems, support organic farming, encourage farmer-led innovation. And now this is the end of my lecture, and I acknowledge the traditional farming communities for preserving indigenous knowledge, classical Sanskrit scholars, agriculture researchers working on sustainable farming, preserving and validating traditional agricultural knowledge. Thank you. And any queries are welcome. I'll try to solve them.
Thank you so much, sir.